Welcome to Uriah Heep, the Magician's Podcast. I'll be covering every studio song the band has recorded and every bonus track that I can find. Each week we'll go over a new song from the beginning to where they are currently, and as they keep adding albums, I'll keep adding shows. Let the deep dive party begin.
In the magic garden, some were singing, some were dancing.
Hello and welcome to Uriah Heep, the Magician's Podcast. I am your host, Scott Haskin, bringing you this fan-based, band-endorsed podcast, digging into all the music of the mighty band Uriah Heep. And I have to say, I'm loving it, guys. Every show is just so cool to dig into these songs, to share with you guys, and really just appreciate all the work that this band has done and just what they've given to us. It's an incredible body of work over 50 years, heading on to 51 now already. Hard to believe. And yet here we are. Really cool stuff. And today we're digging into a song that was only made available starting with the release of these deluxe reissue CDs that I'm working off of. And the song is called Searching by the band, the last bonus track on this album. So here we are wrapping up another season. This has been a great album. I love this direction of the band. I love hearing more guitars. I love the change in the dynamics from what they were doing before. You know, I've liked every album. I've enjoyed something or most things about just about every song. Most of my issues have really been more with the way that the music was mixed than actually the songs or the performances themselves. Couple things I didn't like here and there, but my God, you know, of all the songs that I've reviewed, which is well over 100 at this point, you're bound to find things that you don't like, you know. And I'm also looking at this in, 2021, and I'm reviewing albums that go back to the early 70s. So, a lot has changed in my perspective. May not always have been within the time frame that the band was in, thinking about like this is how things were in the 80s or the late 70s or the mid 70s. I was born in 72, so I didn't know a whole lot about audio engineering when I was 3. I wish I would have, but I didn't. My focus was on things like chewing on my toys and, sticking bobby pins in light sockets, which probably explains a lot. But in any case, here is Searchin' by Uriah Heep from the album Head First. Well, this sounds pretty happy, doesn't it? Or at the very least, optimistic. Kind of has that lighthearted feel to it. Beautiful keyboard playing, some nice guitars in there. But it just kind of gives me the feeling that, you know what, I'm going to find whatever it is I'm looking for. And when you think of the word searching, it can evoke so many different feelings. It could be frantically searching, casually searching, so casual, you're like, yeah, maybe one day I'll find love. If I don't, that's fine. No big deal. Or it could be like, I'm just going to walk down the road and I know I'm going to find something good today. There's so many different things that word invokes for me. And, but just listening to the opening music here, I feel good. I feel optimistic. I feel like this is going to be a good day. I really like the way that they drag the beat just a little bit and then just give you that powerful, chord with the crash cymbal and the snare. Sounds really good. There's some stuff out there that's done that. And every time I've heard it, I don't think I've heard an instance of it that I didn't like. I can't think of any songs off the top of my head where I was like, you know what, that was cheesy or that was stupid. No, this sounds really good. And I like that because it's just unexpected. You expect the beat to be straightforward, but wait a minute, where'd that beat go? Why didn't they play it the way you expected them to? Why wasn't the snare there? Oh, we're going to give it to you now instead. Take that. I love that. So this is kind of fascinating to me. The drums are more upfront in this song, more where they should be in the sound field, but they've added this reverb to the bass drum. So the bass drum is now being pushed a little bit over to the left ear. And again, they might have kept the same volume, but just because they took it out of that one stream of sound and kind of made it in its own place, it stands out more. You can hear it. It's punchier. It's pushing my chest more when he hits it. And over in my right ear, though, I'm hearing this crazy short reverb. And that really brings an interesting dynamic to the sound of the song. But this is more where I think the drums fall in line as far as volume levels, as far as clarity, and they don't at all overpower any other thing. So we're not losing anything to gain our ability to hear the drums more. Wow, that was really unexpected, wasn't it? I did not know that part was coming. There was no indicator. I thought we were getting ready to hear Peter Goalby deliver some vocals. But no, let's have just a nice little part in there first. Great work from Bob Daisley, especially that is some good playing on a bass guitar. And really good work for everybody on this song. You know, the song sounds nice and clean. It's really powerful. Everybody's present and doing their thing. I really like it. Maybe it's just me. It very well, I could be the only one in the world that hears this. But that part reminds me a little bit of Flash Gordon, the theme to the original Flash Gordon movie from the 80s. Actually, I don't know if that was the original one or not. There might have been one before that. But the one that came out in the early 80s anyway, the really interesting effects, they all had to be drawn in back in those days. A lot of work went into those where now they just, you know, make a couple of settings and things get done so much more efficiently now. But in any case, yeah, it's a really good, strong riff. I'm still waiting for some vocals. Haven't heard anything yet. Well, I don't know if you guys noticed, but we've lost the bass drum again. It just kind of disappeared into the ether. So now we had that little push on our chest there, and now it's gone. And so the song, again, feels slightly weaker because it's not there. If it had never been there, that would have been one thing. Then we wouldn't think about it. Or if I didn't point it out, you might not be thinking about it. But it's gone. So maybe it'll come back in another part. We'll see. See, now the kick drum's back again. Very, very strange. But the drums sound great on this. Really good punchy kick, nice heavy snare, and that works really well to move the song forward. Really can hear Bob Daisley on this too, which is nice. Mick's just playing fantastically on this song. Can't really hear a lot in the way of keyboards at the moment, but you never know what's going to happen with Uriah Heep. They could just do a huge keyboard extravaganza right in the middle of the song. So we'll see where it goes. But obviously no vocals. The truth of this matter is that it is an extended version demo song. So it's something that was obviously in the works. Maybe they were in the process of writing lyrics. Maybe this was the demo that they were going to give to Peter to sit down and say, okay, here's what I want to do with this song. Here's the story I want to tell and the lyrics. You never know. But in any case, it's a really good song. I would like to have seen what a finished version of this would have been, because I think it's got some really good riffs in it. It moves well. It's got some interesting changes and some really good parts. So I think that, you know, it's very obvious that there's plenty of room for vocals in this song. And what a shame we didn't get a finished version. Well, you're kind of hearing a little bass part there that was very reminiscent of Weekend Warriors. And sometimes that happens too. Sometimes, if you're not going to use a song, you might plunder some parts from it for other songs. But I really like it. I think it fits well. And this, not having the vocals and knowing that this is a demo version really kind of lends some insight into what the band sounds like as they're in the process of putting songs together. Obviously, this one was a little further along, but I did something I don't normally do until after I finish the album is I go back and look at the notes in the book. And I did want to point out, here's what it says about searching. Now, while I'm looking at the file is encoded that it was written by John Sinclair, Bob Daisley, Mick Box, Peter Goalby, and Lee Kerslake. However, the booklet says that it was written by Goalby, which is always interesting when you have a vocalist who doesn't play an instrument. And maybe he does, but he doesn't in the band, at least as far as I know. Maybe he played some guitar on stage. But when they write a song that has no lyrics, usually if a vocalist writes a song, it's going to be centered around lyrics. So I found that interesting. But here's what it said. Recorded during the Head First sessions, I think. So we're not sure. I don't know if maybe there wasn't a date marking on the tape or something. But it says there were several versions of this track residing on tape, none of which had suitable vocals on them or that had been mixed. This is the alternate version. And then it says Peter Goalby music. So I really don't know for sure. Man, I'd love to listen to some of those other versions, even if they're not up to audio quality or whatever. I mean, I'm certainly used to hearing all kinds of boombox and scratch recordings and whatever, even some of my own. Boy, I would be very curious to hear that. But, we get what we get, and at least we have the instrumental version of the song to enjoy. So let's continue to do that. Well, we're getting some nice bass runs there from Bob Daisley. Really good, powerful drums. Great playing from Mick. Really, I'm so curious to know what the vocals would have been over a section like this. But I really like having this insight into how the band puts things together. I mean, it would be really neat to see things in like a very early stage, and then, like when it's coming together, and then when it's polished, and then when it's final. Like, it would be really neat to see the progression of that and see how the band puts things together. But then again, it could be different for every song too. I mean, the way they put one song together could be completely different from the way they put the next one together. So it may or may not be something that actually helps gain that much insight, but at least you get some. You don't hear Lee Kerslake playing a lot of ride cymbal. He's very much a hi-hat drummer, but I think it works really well in this case. It definitely fits the style of the song and the style of the time. Lots of choruses, the drummers switch over to rides. So it's not too surprising that he did it here. It's just that we don't hear him do it very often. So it's always a pleasant surprise when he does. And God, this song is just so solid. I really dig it. That was a nice change there. I like that drum transition and going into that part earlier than we expected. I love nice surprises. Yeah, I don't think I heard any keyboards after the intro, not at all. And that's probably why we were able to hear everything else so well, because keyboards are a stereo instrument in most cases. And when you're panning everything towards the center, you're not just panning, like bass guitar, you have a single signal coming through, but with keyboards, you've got a left and a right. And if you're panning both of those towards the center, now that really strengthens that same sound, but also buries everything underneath of it. So, or reasonably, depending on the frequency. But without that, that really gave the bass and drums a chance to shine through most of it. I did hear the kick. I'm starting to think, too, that when it dropped out, I think it was being cut out by the bass guitar because they do both share similar frequencies. But apart from that, I think it's a really cool song. I think it was heading in a great direction. Definitely a straightforward rock and roll song. Some really interesting riffs and stuff in there. I would like to have heard it with a vocal, even if it was just a scratch vocal, just to get the idea of what would have happened, where the song was headed. I think there would have been a lot to learn in that. But I'm really glad they included it, that they found a mix that was at least workable so that we could hear the song even existed. It's the little things in life that make a big difference. And I got a whole nother episode out of it. So yay. Anyway. That's it, guys. I hope that you have a great day. Take care of yourselves. Enjoy. We'll see you in the next episode. Cheers. Thank you for joining me on this episode of Uriah Heep, the Magician's Podcast. If you have enjoyed this show, please consider going over to Apple Podcasts or your favorite podcast outlet, leaving a rating or a review. Be sure to subscribe to make sure that you are notified when new episodes are available. Please be sure to share this podcast with your fellow Uriah Heep enthusiasts and anyone who you think would like Uriah Heep, which should be everyone. And if you are so inclined, please feel free to contribute to the Patreon account. And if you are not a Patreon subscriber, you can also pay through the PayPal link on the website listed in the show links below. I would also like to thank Uriah Heep for their very generous support of the show, and thank you guys for listening. We'll see you in the next episode. Happy days!